So you live and breathe dance, right? But have you ever seriously thought about turning that passion into a real, thriving business? Well, in India, that dream is closer than you think. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can go from dancer to entrepreneur. Let's get into it.
We've broken this whole journey down into 5 key parts. We'll start with the fun stuff, dreaming up your perfect space. Then we'll get practical with a business plan, tackle the necessary paperwork, figure out the funding, and finally, look at how you can grow this thing into something huge.
All right, first up, the dream. Because look, before you even think about signing a lease or buying mirrors, it all starts with a super clear picture in your head of the space you want to create. For a little inspiration, just look at what Flux Studio in Bangalore set out to do. Their dream wasn't just a dance studio. It was a space for art for change. It just goes to show you your studio can be so much more than just a room. It can be the heart of a community.
So what does a dream space like that actually look like? Well, we're talking about a place with real versatility. A spot where you can run classes, sure, but also host workshops, rehearsals, maybe even photo shoots. You'll need the basics, obviously. Mirrors, a great floor, a killer sound system, but don't sleep on the little things, like a comfy lounge area. That's where people connect, and your community really comes to life. And of course, it's got to be easy to get to.
Okay, so we've got the vision. Now it's time to build the foundation. Welcome to Section 2, the blueprint. This is where we stop dreaming and start planning. Let's make this thing real.
Your business plan is basically your roadmap to success. You got to start with research, see what people in your area are actually into. Then you find your unique angle. Are you going to be the go-to for Kathak or the home of hip-hop? After that, it's about finding that perfect location. And, this is a big one, hiring amazing instructors. They are everything. And finally, of course, you gotta map out the finances. So let's talk money.
Now, this table is a super helpful guide for what it might cost to get started. And just look at the difference your city makes. A medium-sized studio in a Tier 1 city could run you up to 35 lakhs, but you might get off the ground in a Tier 3 city for as little as 4 lakhs. The big takeaway here, your location is probably the single biggest factor in your startup budget. Okay, plans in place, you've got a budget in mind, now it's time to make it all official. Section 3 is all about the paperwork. Yeah, I know, it sounds daunting, but trust me, we can break it down into manageable steps. First thing you'll likely need is a trade license from your local municipal body, like the BMP in Bangalore. Think of it as your official permission slip to run your business. It's a must-have, and it shows that you're meeting all the local rules for health and safety. Next up, and this is super important, music. You can't just throw on any old Spotify playlist in your classes. You need an IPRS license to play copyrighted music. It's how the composers and lyricists get paid for their incredible work. It's all about respecting the art that fuels our own, right? And finally, there's professional tax. This changes a bit from state to state, but the idea is simple. If you're running the show solo, you'll need a PTAC. If you plan on hiring instructors and staff, you'll need a PTRC to handle the tax from their paychecks. Easy enough. So we figured out our costs and sorted the legal stuff. That brings us to the million rupee question. Or, the 35 lakh rupee question. Section 4, funding. How are we going to pay for all this? Now, don't let those startup numbers freak you out, because the funding options are just as big. I mean, some lenders can offer business loans up to 80 lakhs. That's not just get started money, that's build a world-class studio from day one money. So, you've pretty much got 2 main paths you can take. There are traditional business loans from banks, which usually depend on your credit score and offer lots of flexibility. Or you can look into government schemes. For example, the Udyogini scheme in Karnataka is an amazing program that helps women entrepreneurs get started with subsidized loans. It's totally worth looking into what your state offers. Okay, so let's fast forward. You did it, the studio is open, the music is pumping, your classes are packed. What's next? Well, our last section is all about the future. This is where we stop thinking about just one studio and start thinking about building a brand. And if you want to see how it's done, just look at Twist and Turns. They started with just one studio and grew it into a nationwide franchise. What was their secret sauce? They perfectly mixed their love for dance with some seriously smart business moves. They're a fantastic case study for how to scale. And the numbers really speak for themselves. The Twist and Turns franchise model has an average return on investment of 38%. Plus, most owners get their initial investment back in just 1 to 3 years. That is some powerful proof that a well-run dance studio can be incredibly profitable. Now, let's connect the dots. Remember that first table with the startup costs? Well, look at this. The total investment for a franchise in a Tier C city is about 8 lakhs. That's right in the same ballpark as starting your own place from scratch. This really brings the whole financial journey full circle, from that first leap of faith to becoming part of a huge established brand. So there you have it. We've gone through the dream, the plan, the paperwork, the money, and the future. Now just picture it for a second. Your studio is real. The music's on. The rooms are full of energy and creativity. The only question left is, what are you going to create?